Hey there, viewers, and welcome back to the Self-Made Auto Channel. Sitting inside the 2018 Chevrolet Malibu. It's got the big 1.5. Customer complaint, no radio. That's down here. I'll show you. It's just a blank display. Nothing turns on, but the display does work because when we put it in reverse, the backup camera comes on. So we know that much. I'll show you that. Hood open out there. I think it's a collision car. Lots of lights on here. 46 568. Backup camera works, but we have no, no display or no funny business there. So let's get checking that out. We're going to use the factory scan tool here, and we will go into. Oops, get the screen working. We'll go into vehicle diagnostics. And we're just do a full system scan essentially. See what, if anything has codes in it, give us any kind of clue as to where to go here. I do know that the display is, not the actual radio. There should be a separate radio module and a human machine control interface, and the display is simply just that. So we'll let this thing get going and see if we have any, any codes in the radio, see if we can talk to it. We'll skip this. We don't know if it has memory seats, but... And then we'll take our diag from there, wherever it leads us. These usually scan pretty quick. Lots of different modules there. Alright, so we've got codes. So down here we got radio. The radio module actually comes up as a no communication, so probably these other modules have set codes against it, I would assume. Alright, so body module. Just all tire pressure sensors. Got our HVAC module. Okay, here we go. U0184 for loss of comm with radio. That's interesting. I wonder why the HVAC needs to talk to the radio. Inflatable restraint. Inflatable restraint also has the U0184 loss of comm with the radio. So amongst a couple other codes in there. So that's littered full of codes. More body module stuff there. Holy smokes. I don't know if these are all history codes, but body module's not super happy. Engine controller. Dude, this thing is loaded with codes. Back to the inflatable restraint. Alright, well, what it's here for is to check out the radio. Just kind of glancing through these, I think the only ones that are really kind of important are the two U0184s lost of comm with radio. I don't know, I guess, okay, they have them sorted, so these top ones are all current codes. Tire pressure sensors, rear defogger, problem with the HVAC. Yeah, it must be a collision car. Yeah, deployment command is stored in the airbag module. So, all right, yeah, so lots of current codes there. And like I say, it's only here to have the radio fixed. So we'll get after that. We'll go back here. We'll go to module diagnostics. It's interesting that those are the only, that the HVAC controller and the airbag module are the only two that flag the no comm with the radio. That's kind of weird. I would have thought it would have been in the HMI or in the cluster. So that's kind of interesting. So we'll go into the radio here. It should come up as a no comm. If we try to read, well, I guess we can just try to look at some data on it. It should just be a no communication. All right, yeah, so no communication. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with. So first thing first, I mean, this could be as simple as a blown fuse. good possibility. Let me get some repair service data up here, and then we'll find out where the fuse is, what runs it, and we'll go from there. All right, so I've got our service data pulled up here. Let's see, let's go to, we'll just go to OEM wire diagrams. And let's just type in radial. There's probably some options. Radio schematics, IO5, IO6, IOA, IP1. We have to see which RPO code this has, so let me take and look that up. We'll see which one of these is. Looks like there's 4 different choices for radio / navigation. Should be able to find it here. We'll just type in radio. Oh, if I could spell, there we go. This one is the IO5. So we will select this. And then we will, I love this about GM, radio, it's going to be powers and grounds and serial data. So this is really all we want to see anyways. I have to enhance that baby. Enhance. Oops. Fuse block instrument panel. Fuse F42, 15 amp. That looks like the only fuse. And then we've got, figure this out here. Oh, okay, so this is other RPO options. So this is, depends on where the power comes in based off what these are. So UQA or UQF, let's just go find UQ. Ours is a UQF code. Pop back here again, so UQF, so our power comes in on pin 1, our ground is on pin 16, connector X3, and then these are the data lines over here. I believe where we have the cluster, the HMI, the amplifier, and the info display. I believe this is the what they call the most data bus. And that's probably these down here, and then this is probably a different data network of some sort. All right, well, let's, I guess before we get too involved here, fuse F42, 15 amp, battery plus, so it's hot at all times. Let's go see if that's, if that fuse is any good. There's the light here so we can all see. I guess I'll stick it down here for right now. Looks like this is the fuse box according to the symbol, left side of dash. Get out the knife. There we go, that's open. Let's see if we can read F42. Oh, look at that, look right at it. F42, it's all the way down in that bottom corner. Oh man, I gotta go way down on this thing. Let's see, does this go like this? Looks like it does, so it's gonna be that far top right corner. That's got a 20 amp fuse in it. There's a big fat clue for you, my guy. Let's, we're gonna hook up our test light here and put it right on the door latch. Make sure our test light works. Find an empty hole here. Make sure there's some metal thingy in there. Oh, this one there is. Okay, our test light works. Let's see if we can get up in here. There's the top of the fuse. Oh, and the bottom fuse. The fuse is good. The funny part is, though, somebody's changed it. I wonder why. I wonder why. So I'll make sure it feels good. Like as far as pin drag on it, you know what I mean? Make sure nobody's been up in there doing some monkey business. Doesn't look like it. I'm not so sure I can get the fuse back in there with my fingers now. Let's see if we can stick it back in with the pliers here. Alright, fuse is back in. We'll double check it for power. Power on the bottom, power on the top. Okay, so it's not just a simple blown fuse. Let's just make sure nope, radio doesn't turn on just from fiddling with it. So that's good. We know we have power there. I think our next step is going to be our next step is going to be going to the actual radio module itself. We're gonna have to find out where that lives. It's not. Hopefully, it's not in the middle of the dash there. Usually, they're off like in the passenger footwell area. Somewhere is over on that side. But let me look that up, and we'll see if we can find where the radio lives, and make sure we have power and ground and comm. Make sure it's got the ability to talk. I think I found us enough information. We shouldn't be too fumbly. Apparently, it is over here. They showed a view of the back side of the dash, and it showed it all the way over here on the right side. So let's just take let's take this down, see if we can see anything, which we can't. I do see a bunch of connectors hanging down there though. I'm wondering if we've got to go at it from underneath. Brackets are pretty rusty in this dash. That's kind of interesting. So we'll put this back together. That's of no help. And then we'll see about taking this hush panel off here and seeing if we can get to our connectors. Last push nail's giving me a hard time. I brought the flush cuts in case I've got to get serious with it. There, gosh. There we go. Wouldn't have thought that'd have been the hard part. Oh, I think somebody's already been here. She's all dug up. Alright, so we're just following somebody else's mess around here. It looks like. Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3 modules here. This one has USB going to it. Well, we have to figure out which one's the radio and which one's which. We don't care what the other ones are. We just want to know where the radio module is. Let me try to identify it a little bit better. I believe it's this one here. So I'm just looking at the connectors. Remember, our pin 1 was our power wire, and it was redwood violet, and this has a redwood violet. Oh, wait a minute, never mind, that's not in pin 1. Oh, here we go, redwood violet. And then, oh yeah, it should be this one. Duh, idiot. This is the one somebody's already been into, and it's missing some locks on the connectors. Okay, I forget. We're always everybody's last resort for fixing a car. Okay, let's see if get my fingers to work here. She should slide out of there. Let me stick my face in front of you. Doing a lot of moaning and groaning here, and let me see if I can pull this thing down where we can do some work on it. So I've got it loosened up here. I don't think I can pull it out with the connectors in it. Well, I hate to fix the problem by unplugging something here, but let's do that. Let me shut the key off, or push the button in rather. Unplug that one. Yeah, these connectors are all chowdered up. Okay, so somebody's definitely been in here. There's that one. Well, come on, little guy. There's that one. This one still has a lock in it. Get it down where we can see things and load test the wires. That one, and then this is our one that we really want to get after. Oh, come on. Get that lock tab to stay down. There we go. Okay. Get this module out, see if, make sure it doesn't have any junkyard writing on it or anything. Okay, there. What the heck's all that stuff? Looks like tough actin' tenactin. Alright, it's got some mystery white powder on it. This thing a flood car? I wonder. Let me have a little gander up in the hole here. I mean, it doesn't smell all musty or anything, but I don't see any funny business up there. So let's set that to the side. This guy's breathing pretty heavy for working on a radio. We've got our red with violet and our black, which is in pin number whatever's below number 1. So we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So pin 9. Let me just look on the diagram, see where ground is supposed to be. Pin 11. Here's a guy who can't count. I probably just counted it wrong, but see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have to get a magnifying glass. It's got numbers on it. I'll at least make sure this is, maybe we got the wrong module out, who knows. So this is pretty interesting. I'm looking, we do have the right module. This is obviously the radio module. Even has our RPO on it, the IO5. So this is for the 456 and U2K. However, factory service data has these two connectors mixed up. This one is correct. This is connector X3. Okay, so if you're looking along in factory service data, this is connector X3. They have the gray one labeled as X2 and the green one is X1. However, in the diagrams, the factory diagrams, they have these two bodies mixed up. So this is a 20 pin. We can count along here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 10 holes in this one and there's 16 in this one. So all of the call outs in the wiring diagram are wrong. And like I say, they have this connector X1 listed as a gray 20 pin connector with this wire orientation, the blue, yellow, green, white. So these are your speakers, and the powers are supposed to be pin 1 and 11. So what we'll have to do is just assume it's a typo in service data, which isn't uncommon. You can never trust factory diagrams, especially colored wire diagrams, because they're just rewritten from factory stuff, and if factory stuff's wrong, then the color ones are wrong. So let's just do our diagnosis based off color, because the color orientation does seem to be correct in the factory diagram. So we still have our red with violet, and our black is the ground, these two heavy wires here. So let's get a 4 amp test light and stick in there to make sure that these wires can carry current. It's always really frustrating when that happens, because you tend to trust OE more than you do with aftermarket diagrams. And then when you run into a situation like this, it just turns into a big time waster, because you're looking up a year, down a year, different RPOs, only to find out they're all messed up, but colors are correct. So let's we're going to probe into the back of this. We've got power, and we've got ground, and we can light a 4 amp test light. So we have power and ground, so that's good. Don't really care about speaker inputs or anything. Right now we want to find what wires are comm wires. I believe this was for our most data bus, which we're not concerned with either, because that doesn't have anything to do with talking to it. Let me look and see which one of these is the wires that we need to jibber jabber with this little fella. We'll get it all plugged in here where we can get to it. I guess we can plug that back in also. And like I say, we're going to do our diagnosis just based off wire color. This guy can get the connector in correctly. We don't really need those antennas or anything hooked up. Okay, let me take a look here. So on our wire diagram here, what am I under? Trying to find all the data networks, because there's a few that run here. So the isolated low speed GM LAN, okay. That's this little guy right here. All right, and I believe this is the one that we're talking on with the scan tool anyways. I could be wrong, but I believe this is it. So the on this network single wire, we got the amplifier, cluster, communication, telematics if it has it, radio, the serial data gateway module. So I believe that is the module that we're talking to, that is on this network, which can talk to everybody, which, if I remember correctly, doesn't have any codes flagged against this. What's going on with my fonts here? Oops. Where are we? Make sure we're in the right module here. What's going on with my computer here? Let's find, yeah, serial data gateway. Yep, that's what we wanted. And I don't believe this had any codes flagged against this little fella. Let's just double check that, because I have an idea. Okay, and it does not. So she's clean and green. And this says here pin, or X1, pin 14, gray with green. I've got our little AES Wave view scope here, so let's fire this little fella up. I'll let this get booted up. And then X1 really means X2. you gotta decipher through the lingo. So that should be on this connector here, and there's a gray-green right here. Of course, it's not gonna be in pin 14, but we're gonna go gray-green. Get a probe here. All right, so we've got a T-pin. I've got it here. Gray-green. Oops, and it looks like we have the ability to communicate down here anyways. Let me just change the scale on this. Let's go to 1 volt per division, so it looks like a 0 to 5 volt communication line. And then we can see the individual data packets there. So I don't know a lot about data networks and that kind of stuff. Not a big electronics guy. But I'm curious, like, you know, let's say, for example, like this thing was off the network. Like, this is just, you know, perhaps being output of this module, which it looks like a lot of talk to be just being outputted to being output. So what about this? What if we take our test light that we don't have in our hands? Must be over. I thought we had test light. Let's take a test light. Let's just pull that network to ground, see if it drops out the whole network, and see if the gateway module flags a code against it. Because if it does, then we know that wire's intact and we have power, ground, ability to communicate, and we also will know that the network wire is, you know, it goes all the way. Hopefully that makes sense to you. I've got a test light. I could be way wrong about this, but we should be all right. Boom, we just pulled the network to ground safely. Let's go back to our scan tool over here. Let's reread our codes in here and see if there's codes. I would think there would be. Uh-oh. Control module communication low speed expansion CAN bus off. Now I just took my test light off. It's a current code, now it's a history code, just like that. Bingo bango, that's how you check wire integrity there. It may not be in the textbook, and don't do that at home, kids. But that tells us we have power, we have ground. We know that our data network from here to that security gateway module, or whatever they call it, serial data gateway module, is intact, because look, we set that code by shorting out the wire. So we know for a fact that the data that we're reading here isn't just being output from the module onto a broken wire. I'm gonna look at some more diagrams here, but I think this is all we need to check to make the call on the module, because let's go back here, unless we've had some divine intervention here, we still can't talk to the radio. Oops. This guy needs to calm down. We want to go to A11 radio, because I don't need to hit enter. And technically we shouldn't be able to talk to it still, unless we wiggled something and it works. What's the survey say? No communication. To the best of my knowledge, we've done this correctly. I'm going to look and double check. There is another data bus. There's that LIN bus, but that's just a local interconnect network that allows this module to talk to what other modules are on that LIN bus. Here, I guess we can pop back in. Go back here. Let's see, who does this thing talk to? There's radio right there. The info display module, so just talking back and forth. Oops, IO5, IO6. Green with blue. On 13, so that's that wire right next to it. That's a green with blue, but on the LIN bus, I don't know if, I don't know what I expect to see. I think they're 0 to 12 volt. That's just off the chart right now. Which I think this is irrelevant. Yeah, so that's sitting at 12 volts. That LIN bus line is just at 12 volts. But like I say, that doesn't really concern me at this point. Yeah, it's just running 12 volts across it. Shut the key off. Yeah, it's at 12 volts, but like I say, without knowing what I expect to see, I just turn the key back on. Yeah, it's just riding at 12 volts. I'm not super worried about that because, like I say, that's a LIN bus. I guess we have to see. There should be a serial data wake up line on here to actually tell the module, hey, turn on, fella. Let me look into that and see what I can figure out. Well, that's it, folks. There's really nothing more to look at. There is no serial data wake up on this one. I thought there was. I don't know if it just wakes up over the network or if it's on the most. I'm not going to look into it too much. I'm pretty confident with our diag that we have powers, grounds, and the ability to communicate. I'm not going to look into it much further. And we also know that our network is intact because we, shorted out the wire per se. We just pulled it to ground through a test light and seen it had the ability to set a code. So I'm going to see if this is available through GM. Probably not because of the strike. That's still going on. I guess we don't really want to open up. It's kind of interesting, all that white tough actin tenactin that was on there. Kind of curious if the circuit board's all crusty. There ain't much in here. She's pretty well an empty box. Got a little circuit board in there. Let's see if we get this job from the customer, if he's going to fix it. It's a 2018, so he may just leave it and drive it till the end of its life without fixing it. Hard to say. We don't get to fix a lot of cars. We get to diagnose them, but that's it. Unfortunately, cars are super expensive to repair nowadays, and most people just drive them if we can just slip them along. So let me see. Let me give this guy a call. Good news. Get this baby off the floor. I called the Model Electronics who does the radios for GM. Used to be United Radio here in Syracuse and the PRNY, but now they use Model Electronics. So we called them up, gave them the part number. They said, yeah, get her done. A few $100. We'll have it here after the weekend. Today's a Thursday. We won't have it till Monday. And it has a $1,500 core charge on it. I was like, wow, that's pretty hefty. They're like, yeah, we really want it back. I'm like, well, apparently you do. So we'll wait till that shows up. We'll have to put it in, get it programmed. And hopefully the one that they send us works. And hopefully, the other hopefully thing we have to say is hopefully we diagnosed it right. I think we did. I don't know what else we could have done differently. Sometimes ignorance is bliss. Anyhow, stick around for part 2, folks, and when we put it in, we'll see if we're right. Maybe we're wrong.